Now that we have permissions pretty much already set in terms of creating, editing, deleting, I want to go ahead and add sweet alert and validation so that we can finish this model completely and move on to the next one. Before we do that, we do have something that's a little bit of a bug, and I didn't notice it in the previous video until I was editing it. That thing is that, for example, if we press create, we have create permission, everything looks good, everything is empty, we have cancel create, it's all good. If we press edit, then we have edit current permission, display name, the information for that specific permission is in this modal. Even the button is correct. Now, if we close that and we open up create again, as you can see, even though everything is empty from here, it still says edit current permission and it still says update delete. Let's head into the code and fix this issue. In here, let's go ahead to the permissions index. And if we go down a bit, as you can see here, I have some variables here. One is for edited index and one's for edit mode. Now, the edited index is an actual numerical value, right? It's -1. The edit mode is a Boolean value. The issue is that when we're opening the edit mode, we are changing all of these things. The edit mode has a Boolean value, true. Edited index value has an integer, a numerical value, which is true. And then we have close modal here, which is supposed to be handling, basically clearing up any of those sort of things that we set when we open edit. Close modal, we have edited index value is false, and this should actually be -1. This we can take, and I'm going to paste it in here. And now this will be false. That should clear that up. Let's go and check the browser and make sure that that is working the way that it's supposed to. I'm going to refresh this. So we'll try it again. We'll go create, then it's create and create. We'll go to edit. It is edit with some values and update. And now if we come back to create, we should be back to create new permission with the create button. Let's just try it one more time just to be sure, just to sanity check. Edit current permission is good. Our create permission is good. We fixed everything needed for that. At this point now, I want to set it up so that we have some validation. If we are creating or editing anything, I want to make sure that all of these fields are required. And then I also want to make sure that we'll be able to display them down here. The only other thing that I want to make sure of with the validation is to make sure that you can't add too many characters, and that whether you're editing or creating will set the boundaries on whether or not the name is unique. Very simple validation. Let's go ahead and take care of that. In here, I'm going to go over to the permission controller. We'll start there. And we'll start with the store function. Now, this is going to be really easy. As I said, we're just going to request, validate. Now, there are several ways to do validation. This is just the way that I prefer to do it. And so that's what I'm going to be showing you. So the first thing is going to be the display name, because a display name is the only input that we're actually getting from the user. So I'm going to put here required. I want to set it as a max of 25 characters. And then for creation, I just want to make sure that it is unique to the permissions table, and the field that it's going to be based on is just the display name. The next thing will be the description. This one is going to be required. And I'm just going to set it at a max of, we'll say 255 characters. I think that's pretty fair. And we'll just leave it at that. So our validation for create is done. Let's go ahead and also add it to our, let's go and do it to the update as well. We can do both at the same time. Now, the only difference between these two is that this one isn't going to have to be unique because it's already in the database. All I want to do on this one is just to have it required and have a max of 255, and I can get rid of this. Now we can also create a form request. I think that's a little bit out of the scope of this particular series. I've done form requests literally hundreds of times in validation and other videos, and you can feel free to go and check those out or go and check out the documentation. It's really where this all comes from. So we'll go back to the permissions index. And really the only thing that we need to do to get this to display on the front end is to have something to display it. If you're following along with me, then all we have to do here is put a div, and this one's going to have a class, or it's going to have two classes. So I'll say invalid feedback. And I also wanted to have a margin top of 2. And here I'm going to find some classes to this. It will be dblock if the form.errors.displayName is true. This is all we'll need. Let me do this. I'm going to copy this. And then in here, I am going to add some brackets so that we can display them right in here. So hopefully that should be good enough just to display any kind of errors that we get. We're just doing this on the display name because that is an input that we're getting from the user. And then we'll also need it for the description. And that'll be in here. And I'll grab this and I'll add it to this one here. Now let's go ahead and give this a try. Refresh and deblock. I forgot to add some curly brackets in here. We'll start with this one. Let's make sure that it's here as well. And let me do the same for this one. Where is it? Right here. Okay, let's try it again. Yeah, it looks like that cleared that up. Let's go and try to grab it. Cool. So our validation is showing up. The display name field is required and the description field is required. Our validation is working, but something that I want to add to this too is I want to also make this red when the errors are thrown up. And I also want to make this ring around the input. I also want to make that red so that it has that, so we can leverage Bootstrap to do that. Let's go ahead and start with the first one. And I'm going to grab this. Where is it? I've already lost it. Grab this one. And we'll put it first on the label. And instead of dblock here, I'm going to put text danger. It'll be form errors display name. And then I'm going to copy this one. This is the input type. So I'm going to grab it and I'm going to put it, I'll put it here. Here we can just say is invalid. I'm going to grab this one. And I'm going to do the same thing for the label here. This is going to be text danger. Instead of display name, it'll be description. So I'm going to grab this one and I'm going to do the same thing here. Instead of text danger, this one will be is invalid. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Great. So now we have that little icon in there, and that's Bootstrap. Bootstrap is the CSS family that does this. That's pretty cool. So let's try with our edit. We'll try to delete stuff from in here. Update. So our validation is working and everything looks good. Now I want to go ahead and set up Sweet Alert, but before we do that, we do need to clear out these errors. These aren't actual errors. This is just something that is held sort of within cache. So it's something that we do need to clear. So back in here, we can go up top where we are doing the close modal. That's somewhere where we can clear that. We've already got a form reset here. We'll do form clear errors. And now that should be good. Let's try that and make sure it works. Close that, open that up, and now we have no errors left in here. And if we come back in here again, no errors. Great. Let's go ahead and start working on adding Suite Alert. Now, what is Suite Alert? Suite Alert is basically just a alert system, confirmation dialogue system that is designed for you to be able to put these into your projects and have some nice little custom functionality. So for example, something like this would be considered Suite Alert. And there's also toast notifications. That's the one that we're going to be using that pop up from up here. Well, you can put them anywhere you want, but I typically will put it right up here versus a normal alert, which kind of looks like that, which is something that you can use JavaScript to do. The nice thing about Suite Alert is that it doesn't really have any dependencies. You don't have to install JavaScript just to be able to use Suite Alert. So that's something that I really like about it. The only issue that I have found is that it has been really, really slow in upgrading to Vue 3 if you install it into the project. I just had issues setting it up the last time that I tried to set it up, installing it with Vue 3. Now, there have been some updates. There was an update 4 days ago from when I'm recording this. I don't know if that's something that has been fixed or what have you, but just keep that in mind when you're using other packages within your project that you could be getting some really outdated stuff. Now, again, I do like Suite Alert. I do like using it. It is pretty robust for the types of things that it does. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of different sorts of animations that come along with it, which I like. It's just nice. You can also customize the colors. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with it. So it can be very flexible once you're used to using it and really kind of dig into the documentation for more customization. Then that's where things start to get really cool in what it can do. So I'm going to go ahead here to the installation. This is how you would install it if you were installing it into your project. If you're installing it into the project, then this is the way to go. You can go ahead and try to see how it works with Vue 3 and how you can get it up working. I will show you how to set that up. I won't be doing it, but I'll show you how to set that up using this documentation. But for us, we're going to be using the CDN. That's what I'm going to be using. We are going to go ahead and put this into our project now. So for us, I'm just going to go to the app.blade.php, or no, we're using the admin.blade.php. And I'm going to come down here and I am going to add it under the overlay scroll bars. Let me also grab a little thing here so that we can label it. And here I'm just going to call it Suite Alert 2. This way it'll be available to any other pages that we have that is housed within this admin.blade.php. And for us, since we're just doing the admin side of things, everything is going to be pulled in from this admin.blade.php. Now, if you come down here, let's say you were installing it, you would do import Suite Alert from swal in your app.js or whichever one it is. We're using admin.js, which I'm not sure if I set that up, but that's where you would put this. And if you were just using it the old way, then you would just do it that way. Here, you can also import the CSS and the JS separately. We don't really need to do that, but this is how you would call it in that admin.js file if you wanted to do it that way. You can also use this to initialize the plugin or also use the Suite Alert. So that's pretty much all that is. It's very simple to set up and it's very easy to use once you get it sorted. So let's go ahead to our backend. And as I said before, since we're using admin.blade.php to handle our admin stuff so that it's completely separate from the front end, we also are going to set it up so that we have a separate app.js. I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to call it admin.js. We'll leave all of this stuff here for right now. Now that we have this here, we also need to have v understand that this is what we're using for this file. So let's go ahead to our v config. And in this input here, I'm going to add a straight bracket, and then I'm going to copy this in here because I want it to be able to recognize both of them. even though we're not going to be using app.js in our backend, we're going to be using admin.js. So we want it to be able to be understood from Veet's perspective that Laravel will also be using this admin.js, and then we'll need to bring this into our new admin.blade, or not our new, but our admin.blade.php. We'll go up to where we have these. And so now instead of this app.js, I can change this to admin.js. So anything that we put in that file will now be able to be compiled using Veet. Now let's just go ahead to the front end and then make sure that we haven't broken anything since we have made this change. Refresh, and our backend still looks the same. I don't have a button for that yet, so I'll go just here and let's just try localhost. Okay, so this stuff hasn't changed anything. Cool, so we're looking pretty good. Let's go ahead back to that admin dashboard. We're good there, so we haven't actually broken anything yet. Let's go ahead and add this toast notification to this table. So now back here, we can go into the admin.js and we can add our Sweet Alert stuff in here. I am just going to paste this in here just to make it move a little bit quicker. But basically, we're grabbing from the whole window the toast notification that's coming in from Sweet Alert. It's going to be a toast true. The position is going to be the top end, which is over here at the end, at the top of the page. We're going to show a confirmation button, false. That's not true. And for the timer, it'll be about 3 seconds that it lasts. We won't need a progress bar. And then there is an event listener that's being added to this where it opens and closes it. That's all that this is saying. So let's go and add this to one of the functions. JS pages, admin, permissions, index. Let's go ahead to the first one. We'll start with create. Here we have the form where we're posting it. Reserve scroll true. On success, right now we're closing the modal. So what we can do after that is to fire off the toast. And all I want to do is an icon of success. And the title on that will just be new permission or new permission created. Exclamation point. So let's go and see if that works and what it looks like. We'll go ahead, create. We will fill it in, create. So that looks really dull. And something else I want to change too is that it is a bit high on the screen. So when we go ahead and create something, it is a bit high. I want to pull it down a little bit more. Let's go ahead and deal with that as well. Now, in order to target those classes like that, there's also a couple of different ways you can do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom of the page for right now, since today is really it's the only thing that we're working on. And I'm just going to go ahead and paste in some classes here, which is just the body tag, the container and stuff. And it's just bringing it down from the top 60 pixels and it's setting it to the right 60 pixels. I'm also going to try to see if we can tackle that color here. So I'm going to do color equals, let's say, black. I think I need some RGB in there. So hashtag, I think that's black. If not, it's white. We'll find out soon. Okay, so I'll go refresh that, do create, and it did bring it down, but it didn't actually touch that color. Let me open this up and I'm going to make it so that it doesn't close so that we can actually be able to work with it. So for that, we'll go back to the admin.js. I think that I can do that. We'll see. We'll try it. We'll try to create. So it's there. Let's see. Going to move this over a bit. Scroll down and maybe we can see where we're showing those, where we customize that swall toast. Here we go. Should be here. So I'm gonna see if I can copy this, and we'll come here. We'll head back to the index. And for now, I'm just gonna paste this just so I can see what's going on in here. Equals, it's going to be this stuff in here, title, and that should be black. So I can get rid of this. And let's see what that does. Refresh it, create. Okay, good. So that looks better. Open that up. Now we can change the timing on it. Come back to the admin.js, add that timer back, and then we'll go ahead and do the same for our edit, which is right here. So I'm going to copy this one. Access permission created. Permission has been, I'm going to do permission has been updated. And then for delete, we have an alert here, but I do want to change that. And for now, I am going to paste this under here because it is a lot, and we'll change it because there are some things that I need to fix in here. We'll have the "are you sure?" You won't be able to revert this. Fine, fine, fine. All of that's good. Then we'll have the result. If it's confirmed, then it'll go ahead and continue on with the rest of our function. But here I have item ID, and here is where I need to put item ID, and then preserve scroll true, deleted, permission has been deleted, success. So let me go ahead and close this. And that should be good. Let's make sure that this works. I'm going to go ahead and close this inspect tools. We already tried create, so I'm going to try to edit. I'll just say updated. Permission has been updated. That looks good. And then now let's go ahead and delete it. Are you sure? You won't be able to revert this. And yes, delete. Now I kind of want it to be white. I might change it in the next video. We'll see how I feel about what's going on in here. But for now, it has been deleted. I might make some changes to these the next episode because I do maybe want it to have a little bit more variation in it. But for now, I think this is good. And we can continue on to the next step, and I'll decide later what I want to do with fixing that up. But for now, this is good. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that like button, as it really does help out the channel. Here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like, and here's a playlist to follow along. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.